What's up, YouTubers? Welcome to Derby Reacts, and I'm going to react to this gaming action. Let's check it out.
Hello everybody and welcome to a very special Gamescom Studio edition of Biggest Game Releases, the show where we run down what's coming out for PC, consoles, and beyond in any given month. As tempting as it was to run down all the video games that came out already in November 2001, we figured it might be more relevant to talk about next month instead. So here are September 2025's biggest game releases.
Forget that November 2001 nostalgia bait. We're looking at next month's fucking fire, or lack thereof, you bitches.
Before we get into it, just a friendly reminder that we all work really hard to make these videos as informative, accurate, and up-to-date as possible, but video game release dates change constantly, whether that means a very last-minute delay, a surprise announcement, or something in between. And it is extremely possible, if not likely, that some new information falls through the cracks in this video. Also, this is a series.
Throw in their usual disclaimers about release dates changing and humans screw up. No shit, Sherlock, that's the gaming industry for you, a constant clusterfuck.
Made by actual human beings, and unlike cold, unthinking, infallible machines that think glue goes on pizza and the word Oreo is a palindrome, sometimes we screw up. So apologies if that happens, we're sorry, please be kind, and for best results, always check your local listings.
Always double check your listings, you lazy bastards. Don't trust anyone completely.
Now let's talk about some video games. On September 3rd, there's Hirogami on PC and PS5, a 3D platformer set in a world inspired by origami, the Japanese art of folding paper, and potentially kirigami, which is the art of folding and cutting paper.
Seriously, these fleshy sacks of water still can't get a damn schedule right. It's mind-boggling. Anyway, kicking off September 3rd, you got Hirogami on PC and PS5.
If you prefer something a little heavier than paper and scissors, you can rock out in the metal-looking Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell, which is a roguelite horde survival game rooted in Norse mythology. That's on PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. I already said PC.
Anyway, kicking off September 3rd, you got Hirogami on PC and PS5. Sounds like some artsy-fartsy 3D platformer.
Hey, remember how I said sometimes video game release dates come out of nowhere? Well, we got a doozy over here. Hollow Knight's long-awaited sequel, Silksong, finally got a release date in the middle of Gamescom. You probably heard about it already. September 4th, it's coming to basically everything. Happy birthday, Silksong fan.
All inspired by origami and kirigami. Probably some soft shit. If you want something with more goddamn metal, there's Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell.
Or just happy September 4th, I guess. On the 4th, those very same platforms get the standard edition of Hell is Us. The deluxe edition gives early access starting on the 1st, but for everybody else, it's the 4th. For me, Hell is staggered release dates. But in any case, this game has hints of Death Stranding and FromSoft, but it's also taking some inspiration from Jeff Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, the very good sci-fi novels that were loosely adapted into the also very good but very different film Annihilation. So hopefully this game is also very good.
Oh, and speaking of not being a complete fuck-up, how about this for a surprise? That bitch Hollow Knight Silksong finally got a goddamn release date, September 4th, hitting basically everything. That's mind-boggling that it's actually happening after all these years. Fuck, talk about a long wait.
September 4th also sees the release of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle's first DLC expansion, The Order of the Giants. This is coming to all platforms the game is already out on, which sadly does not yet include the Nintendo Switch 2, but if you're a Nintendo Switch 2 owner itching for a game that starts with the Lucasfilm logo and has John Williams-esque orchestral stabs throughout, Star Wars Outlaws gets a port that day, which adds a few exclusive features to the new Nintendo hybrid, like touchscreen minigames, and both the Outlaws DLC expansions will be available for that one day one.
If you're more into Studio Ghibli than Star Wars, there's Kajora for PC. Hand-drawn puzzle platformer about a trio of friends stuck in a time loop. Sounds kinda chill.
If you're more into Studio Ghibli than Lucasfilm, take a gander at Kajora, which hits PC that day. This hand-drawn puzzle platformer follows a trio of friends who realize their village is stuck in a time loop. If you'd rather be in a time loop in a more roguelite sense, and also in outer space, you've got options. The co-op roguelite shooter Void Crew, which is already on PC, comes to Xbox Series and PS5.
Roman Sands Rebuild is officially described by its own creators as an adventure, gacha, puzzle, apocalypse, visual novel, simulation, horror trip. I am not making that up. That is the real description. Which, leads us to the only logical question. What on earth does that even mean? It seems like it involves a luxury resort and a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but how those two things connect is anybody's guess. It's just wonderfully chaotic. Another really interesting release is Dying Light: The Beast. Now, this started out as DLC, but it spun off into its own standalone game, which, as we know, can go one of two ways. The dream scenario? It becomes a masterpiece in its own right, kind of like The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. The fear, though, is that it just feels like a lesser, stretched-out experience, like Saints Row Get Out of Hell. We're just going to have to wait and see which path it takes. And hey, if you're looking to team up with a friend, mid-September has you totally covered. You can start with the cute two-player adventure of LEGO Voyagers on the 15th. Then you can jump into the gorgeous ocean survival world of Voyagers of Nera the very next day. And if you need a bigger crew, Labyrinth's Console Edition arrives on the 18th with 8-player cross-platform co-op. So as we head into the final stretch, the month somehow gets even more crowded. It ends with this grand finale of long-awaited horror, big-time sports titles, and some major RPG spin-offs.
13 years. That is how long it has been since we got a new mainline entry in the beloved psychological horror series Silent Hill.
And on September 25th, the series returns with Silent Hill F. And for the first time ever, it is leaving its foggy American setting behind and taking us all the way to 1960s Japan. I mean, this is a massive departure and a really fascinating new direction for the franchise. The end of the month also brings us the annual Sports Week Showdown. EA Sports FC 26 kicks off its early access on the 19th before its full release on the 25th. Meanwhile, NBA 2K26 gets its full release on September 4th, but its early access players will have already been shooting hoops since August. It's a busy time if you're a sports fan. And for all you JRPG fans out there, get ready because the end of September is basically your Christmas. On the 19th, we get a remake of the classic Trails in the Sky, which is a perfect entry point. Then, on the 25th, we get both a new Atelier game and the long-awaited modern makeover for Final Fantasy Tactics. So many adventures, so little time.
Now hang on, we have to rewind the calendar just a little bit for a release so monumental it deserves its own spotlight. Yes, of course, Garfield Kart 2 All You Can Drift launches on September 10th, a true cultural event, to be sure.
And somehow, there is still more. We've also got survival horror in Chronos New Dawn, the bleak city builder Frostpunk 2 hitting consoles, a 70s-style Agatha Christie mystery, and the non-VR version of Alien Rogue Incursion to close out the month. This month just does not quit.
So, after all of that, the question really becomes, what on earth will you be playing? Let's try and map out your September schedule.
I mean, it is an absolutely incredible lineup. From these indie darlings and massive surprise drops like Silksong, to huge AAA sequels like Borderlands 4, and these monumental horror revivals like Silent Hill F, which September release are you clearing your schedule for?
Garfield, Odie, Nermal, John Arbuckle, Arlene, Squeak the Mouse, Dr. Liz Wilson, and Big Vicious Dog. What a fuck up. Anyway, September 12th, Borderlands 4 hits Xbox Series, PS5, and PC. All right, you motherfuckers, hold on to your ass, because on September 25th, this is where it gets crazy. Holy fuck. Silent Hill F.